You know, it absolutely blows my mind how someone like Ron Rivera could lose his job for a Panthers team that is just average, while there are tons of coaches and the NFL is loaded with brainless head coaches. If someone could sit here and try to explain to me why someone like Jason Garrett still has his job, I would love to know. There are coaches in the NFL that have said the right things and pleased the right people, and that is exactly why they still have their job. The Cowboys have one playoff win in the last how many years? How many years? Jason Garrett has done absolutely nothing to benefit the Dallas Cowboys, and since they're thinking of getting rid of him, the Giants are supposed to be headed in the right direction, and now there are rumors of Garrett going to the Giants when how could you go from a terrible coach to a only slightly better coach? This video I'm going to talk about Ron Rivera being fired and what I think about the coaching in the NFL. Try to give the benefit of the doubt to owners and just the whole aspect of a whole. Now, I know Ron Rivera being fired had nothing to do with him being a bad coach, because he's not a bad coach, but more so how I don't think he suits the Panthers' direction going forward, and he has made or done some things that the Panthers have not liked. For the most part, towards the beginning of the year, the Panthers were exceeding people's expectations. Kyle Allen was the backup for Cam Newton, who has found the injury bug yet again, and he is actually, to me, has done rather decent. And then they started to slow down. McCaffrey obviously has been phenomenal running the ball for the Panthers all season, but the team started to regress recently, and all of a sudden, Ron Rivera was fired, and it left a lot of people scratching their heads. For me, personally, I think Ron Rivera will have no problem finding a position elsewhere on the NFL side of things. I know that there will probably, at the conclusion of this season, be quite a lot of firings for the NFL head coach's spot. But it's just, again, this whole video is going to be centered around the fact of why are there so many coaches in the NFL that have their job because of who they are, their buddy-buddy relationship with the owners, and just them pushing the right buttons. And it's kind of a lot like just a job anywhere, honestly. You know, I see it all the time in my company. There are people based on who they know and just based on the aspect of them being close to the manager or pushing the right buttons that have gone to the top. For me, personally, I've always been kind and friendly to everybody, but I would never go out of my way to say the right things. It is just being a good worker and so on and so forth. Now, basically, you have Jason Garrett, who is the most overrated coach and probably the most number one figure that comes to mind when you think of coaches that are where they are based on the fact that they shouldn't be. Pat Shurmur, obviously, we all know he's an awful coach, and he will probably be fired at the end of the season. Adam Gase as well, but the Jets plan to bring him back. Doug Marone, who's been terrible for the Jaguars, and one of probably the worst coaches in the NFL, Freddie Kitchens, who is the coach of the Cleveland Browns, who have been so much better than they should be, and he's just an awful coach. And I don't know how the Browns feel going forward, but I don't imagine him being there. Now, in terms of what I think of coaching going forward, I definitely think Pat Shurmur gets fired, and I'm going to say they wait till the end of the season to do that. Adam Gase, I think for some reason, is going to come back. Doug Marone could probably get fired. I could see that happening, especially because the Jaguars are massively underwhelming. Jason Garrett, I don't think he's going to get fired. I think they're going to part ways. Just because I think that him going, I really, just for the sake of me supporting the Giants, I really hope that he does not end up being on the Giants, because that will be an absolute terrible mistake. If there's any coaching that any coaches that are going to get fired that I absolutely think will get fired, Pat Shurmur is definitely one of them. I do not see him making it towards next season. I think they got to go. I know him and Gettleman are probably rather close, but I think Pat Shurmur needs to get fired. But it wouldn't absolutely amaze me, just like amaze me beyond proportion, if he stayed with the Giants. But again, it amazes me how so many coaches, and this is not going to be a long video, but it just amazes me how so many coaches are still in the NFL and have not shown any type of improvement or any type of reason beyond doubt that they should hold that position. Jason Garrett is the #1 prime suspect because he's been the coach for the Cowboys for quite a while, and he has not done absolutely anything on the coaching side of it to show me that he deserves to be a celebrated coach. That's really all there is to it. I mean, there's not too much. I don't know why they really fired Ron Rivera, and it has to be just the aspect of where and what direction they are going in. But I do think personally that he will easily find a job elsewhere for NFL teams going forward.